makes sense for everybody and helps move the social good, social impact cause forward. But truly, I'm at a place in my life where I do things that I'm passionate about and I love with people and organizations that I'm passionate about and that I love. And that's me.
Shy, you want to go next?
Yes, what's up, everybody? How you doing? My name is Shy. I'm from Jersey, graduated from Delaware State, so HBCU on the East Coast. I'm here in LA. I'm a TV personality host, so I do everything that holds a microphone. Work with a lot of brands, TMZ. Well, I currently work at TMZ, but you can find me on Quibi right now. BET, done it all, red carpet. Whatever it takes to hold a microphone, that's what I do. That's what I'm into.
I love that. Courtney, you want to go next?
Hey, everybody. My name is Courtney Richardson, and I am the creative director at Paper Magazine, to be specific. Many of you know us for breaking the internet, and I'm in charge of creating innovative ideas and disruptive thinking for the brand, for the celebrities, personalities, and different brands across art, fashion, sports, music, anything you name it, we do it. I'm a graduate of HU, Howard in the building,
Hey.
School of C, and I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you so much, Kadeem, for putting this together. And let's get it started. I'm ready.
Awesome. And Ashley, please introduce yourself. Super excited.
Hello, my name is Ashley Jackson. I'm going to first start and say I am a 2020 graduate of Spelman College. Thank the Lord, I made it.
Hey.
I've also been acting for the past 4 or 5 years in entertainment, TV, and film industries. I'm most known probably for filming Beats on Netflix, currently out. And yeah, I've been acting for a while, done some music, but I'm just really, screenwriting too. That's what I got my degree in. So I'm doing all of the artsy things at one time. Really excited to talk to you guys.
Love that. So let's just jump into questions. I'm going to hit you guys with different questions, and you guys feel free to piggyback however you guys see fit. But so Ashley, let's start with you. So, it's a well-known fact that breaking the entertainment industry in any capacity is just extremely difficult. Can you talk a bit about your journey as a Black professional navigating the entertainment industry?
So I guess as everybody else's stories, mine was a bit unorthodox as well. I started out actually kind of growing up in and out of the public eye. So I had a taste of Hollywood before I was actually engaged. And with that, I had a lot of friends in the industry growing up, and I was always just kind of in that artsy kind of arena. So when I decided I wanted to be in the business, it wasn't like a far step for me. And I actually started when I was in high school in the music game, and I was doing records, doing all that stuff. And then I transitioned into acting. I can't really remember how that happened, but it did. And I was, I was training with Richard Lawson Studios, and he had taught me how to do filmmaking and all these amazing things. And I just decided to kind of give acting a go. I started in short films and worked my way up to features and TV. So that is my journey so far.
I love that. Shai, can you talk a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I graduated, my degree is in criminal justice with a minor in political science. So before I even knew I was ready to come to Hollywood or go to Hollywood, I had aspirations to be like the president of the United States of America, right? So I was working for the Democratic Party at the time. I had just graduated. And one thing about me is I love my people. They're everything to me. And I just felt like politics, it was just really corrupt. And I felt like my voice, I don't know, I feel like I'm Malcolm X. Like, if I keep going, they're going to assassinate me. So I was like, you know what, God, like, what can I do where I still can have a platform and have a voice for my people, but I do it in a way different way? Because I just felt like I was dealing with so much just young at 21, and I lost the passion for politics. I just felt like it was too corrupt. So while I was driving one day, I was like, you know what, Atlanta, Black entrepreneurship, Black excellence, it seems like it's everything. I'm going to just go to Atlanta. So I literally, within the week of me making the decision that I wanted to get out of politics, I just drove to Atlanta. My parents thought I was crazy. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So I just drove to Atlanta, and I was like, well, God, I don't know what I'm going to do now, but let's just start. And, I remember I'm a researcher. All I do is research all day long to gather information. And that's one of the keys, because I think a lot of times when people want to do things, they don't research what they're about to get into. And honestly, researching puts you ahead of the game, because you know exactly what's going on. So I remember saying, well, I don't know how I'm going to start, but I'm going to just start. And it's funny, I started with acting first. I was like, well, let me just go on set to see how it works. I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I went to project casting, and Tyler Perry was shooting Love Thy Neighbor at the time. And I was like, well, they said send in your selfies. The Atlanta process is way different than the Hollywood process. So it's a little bit more easier, especially for Black people to excel. So I was just I just sent the selfie in, and they were like, yo, you can come on set. And I remember my first day on set. I would never forget this, because it changed my life. I went on set, and I'm thinking I made it. So I'm calling back home yo, I made it. I'm on set with Tyler Perry, not even knowing the long process on how to get in the game. But I remember sitting on set as an extra now. And I remember Tyler Perry, he stopped the entire set, and he was like, hey, what's your name? So I'm like, me? You know what I'm saying? So I just said my name, and he was like, okay, I'm going to bring you from the back to the front. And nothing ever came out of that situation other than the confirmation that just God telling me, if you put your foot forth, no matter, you don't even got to speak, people will know you're in the room. So from that moment, I had the confidence, dag, I was I just started out of nowhere, ended up on set. Now I got the Tyler Perry talking to me and touching me. I was like, you know what? Go ahead and get your talk show, since you're passionate about the things you're passionate about. So from there, I just bought a microphone, had a mic flag, started in the streets, doing content in the streets. Then that led to a red carpet. Then that led to me competing at NBC. Then that led to me running down here in LA and so forth. So that's kind of how I got into the game, being an extra on the Tyler Perry set.
I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that you talked about pivoting from politics to entertainment, because Trell, you did the exact same thing. Can you talk a bit about your journey, Trell?
Yeah, it's so interesting for me to go after Shy. Hey, Shy, first of all.
Hey.
I started off in broadcast journalism. I went to school. I have a broadcast journalism degree, and I thought I want to be the next Ed Bradley. That's me. I want to change the world. And the more I got into journalism, and the route that I was going, I remember interning. Y'all, this was back when interns didn't get paid. So y'all in a whole different world right now. But I remember interning and not wanting to leave, because back then it was just stay there, don't let them get rid of you, even if your internship is over. So I kept going, and I remember selling my shoes back for gas money, that sort of thing. And then I was offered the job, and I just learned that the way it was structured, it was too top down for me. And I wasn't going to change the world like I thought I was going to change the world at NBC. And so I, similar to Shy, I just started to ask God, and I just pray, what do you want me to do? And I'm in a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And so I was a stepmaster. So we got a chance to step for then President-elect Obama when he was coming to speak in South Carolina. And that moment changed my life, because I, being from South Carolina and not really being involved in politics or anything like that, and not thinking that I had a voice, which this is a plug right now. Everybody, please get registered to vote. Make sure you go out and vote. It's so, so, so important. But back then I didn't know. And I stepped for him, and they were like, oh, if you guys stay, you get to meet him afterward. And so I drove. So I was telling my line brothers, we're staying. I don't care what y'all talking about. We're staying. We stayed, and we spoke to him, and it was just life-changing. And then that kind of thrust me into, what can I do to help him get elected? And so from there, I asked all of my friends, and I ended up finding out about a position on the Obama campaign in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was really the answer to my prayers, but it was one of those things. And I'm sure that so many people on this Zoom reach that point where they're like, oh, what do I do? This is such a hard decision. And it was the answer to my prayer. And I remember asking all of these people, and them being like, no, don't do that. That's crazy. Why would you leave? I had just gotten a job at NBC. They were like, why would you leave? Don't do that. And my gut was telling me, you have to take this opportunity. And so the night before, I had this thought, just ask your supervisor at NBC. Just ask her. Just tell her what you want to do. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's like professional suicide. And I went and I did it. And she said to me, like, if you don't do this, I'm going to be mad at you. And if you want your job back at NBC, come back. And I left and worked on the Obama campaign. And then working on the Obama campaign kind of moved me into the direction of every time like a celebrity or a surrogate, so somebody who was speaking on behalf of the campaign, came into town, they would be like, oh, let Trell do it. He's like cool, they'll be cool with him, let him do it. And so people just kept pushing me in that direction to do that. And I was good at it. And I just kept doing it and I liked it. And that kind of moved me into the entertainment space where I got to work with people like the Dr. Maya Angelou, that I'll never forget, and Sanaa Lathan and Chris Tucker and so many amazing people. And it kind of opened up the window for me in the entertainment. And then, you know, not to be too long-winded, I got into entertainment PR, and then I got into working at Viacom and working at the intersection of VH1 and BET and MTV and celebrities and social good. And then I just set out to move to Los Angeles to take all those things that I had learned and do it for myself. And like I said, work on things I love with people I love.
I love that. I love that, Trell. And Courtney, can you talk to us a little bit about how you navigated from Howard University to Paper? Like, that is an incredible journey. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, most definitely. So I have a degree in mass communication and media. So for me, I've always been interested in media, in entertainment, and mass communications. But I actually was bitten by the entertainment bug when I was a little girl by my uncle. He actually is a music director. And so he directed a lot of the Wu-Tang Clan music videos back in the day, a lot of No Limit Records music videos. So he would actually take me on set. And so from there, I actually got to, you know, really get into entertainment and kind of see the behind the scenes process of the music industry. And so from there, for me, I kind of took the traditional route, right? So like a lot of internships, very much living in the world of network until something sticks. So passing out business cards, hustling, what's your elevator pitch? Because that's kind of the era that I grew up in. And so for me, actually kind of being bold and daring, I actually reached out to the president of AMC Networks. They own like We TV, AMC, Sundance Channel, and I wanted a job after school. And they really admired how bold I was and how I was able to pitch myself. And so I actually moved from DC to New York. And I've been in New York for 10 years now. So I started out working in TV, in television, different television networks in digital marketing. And then I worked my way up, so working on the agency side of things and then on the brand side of things. But something within me just felt off, like being behind the scenes and noticing that there was a lack of attention to Black and Brown communities, to Black and Brown celebrities. A lot of the marketing budgets weren't going to our communities, to our audiences. And so from there, I actually started my own agency a few years ago, where I represented different brands, Black and Brown brands across lifestyle and beauty. And that was actually phenomenal for me because it allowed me to kind of give a voice to people who aren't always center stage when it comes to media and entertainment. And actually Paper noticed sort of what I was doing in the industry and actually approached me to join them on their team as creative director. And for me, being at Paper, I've been there for a year and some change now, and I've been able to work with Lena Waithe, I've been able to work with BET, I've been able to work with Michaela Cole, HBO. And for me, it's all about being a voice for the voiceless, and representation matters, right? So Paper is all about the counterculture generation, and for me, I just want to make sure my people get the opportunities that they deserve and get the stage that they deserve. So I definitely try to implement that at Paper. So for me, I definitely worked hard, definitely sort of built a legacy and sort of built a portfolio that was attractive enough for people to come to me. Like if, I'm gonna knock on other people's door and they're not gonna answer, then I'm gonna make a name for myself. And that's just how I was able to be where I am today.
So I love that the common thread between all of you is that you guys set a goal and you took very specific steps to get there. And it also seems like all of you put a lot of thought into your personal brands. You were bold, you went after what you wanted, and you also did great work. So you let your work speak for itself. So I really want to jump into social media, because there's so many opportunities in the entertainment space that, you know, can sometimes stem from just work you're doing. And a lot of people will see that on social media. So with that in mind, how important do you guys think it is, a person's social media presence when they're going after career in entertainment?
It's probably the strongest thing that you got. Like, it's like your money. You don't want to like fumble it. And I'm saying that is because I landed my job at TMZ from my social media account. So when I had first came to LA, remember, I went to Atlanta and I was doing like a lot of like doing all the streets work. That's how I built my resume, because I had to jump out of nowhere to say that, yo, I want a talk show. So coming from out of Atlanta to LA, I was like, you know, in Atlanta, I felt like, you know, it was a plateau. I had reached my ceiling. I've done so many red carpets, had interviewed the biggest celebrities, the most A-list celebrities that you could probably name. And I was like, you know, now I need to go with the big dogs. So I'm going to LA. Plus I had a mentor that was like, all roads lead to LA anyway. So I was like, yeah, I'm going. When somebody tells me something and I feel like they're trusted, I work on it. So when I came to LA, I was coming out of a real bad 9-year breakup. It was bad, y'all. When I say bad, I mean bad, like 0 to prison real quick. You know what I'm saying? So I had to like get my mind right and had to start like building over. And I remember, I would never forget this, because LA is a different type of struggle. I know y'all probably hear that, but I'm telling y'all it is. So I came to LA. I had my last $75. I was here for like a week. I slept on, my best friend came to LA before me. I slept on her couch. And I remember I had my last $75. So I saw like this, remember research. So I saw like this Dame Dash event. So I was like, you know what? Go to the Dame Dash event and pitch yourself so that you could work for his, because he has a company and he had a correspondent. And I just felt like he was so out of tune with the culture that, you know, it was an easy job that I could get. I could be an asset, you know, understand what's going on. Let me go there. So I went there. I would never forget this. This is like first week in LA, no job, no house now. So I came to LA and I went to the Dame Dash event. At the time, I didn't even know they were filming for Growing Up hip hop in LA. So they're filming that, but during this episode, they had a panel, and Van Lathan from TMZ was on the panel. So, and like initially, I went there to prepare to pitch for Dame Dash, which I still did, by the way. I never lost sight of that. However, I added to my plan, and you know, you got to be impromptu. This is like just street savvy. You know, I was like, you know what, you need to pitch yourself all over. So I saw Van, and I would never forget, you know, because like she was saying, you know, your elevator pitch, you got 20 seconds. Well, you know, that's kind of like your elevator pitch also is your social media account. Let me tell you why. So I go up to him. I was like, you know what? I've been doing a lot of interviews. I'm very versatile. I can talk about sports, fashion, politics, you name it. I got it. Celebrity, gossip, what you want. And I remember him saying like, oh, okay. Send me your resume. And I know one thing that would have been a disconnect, because it was so many people trying to do the same thing I was doing at the event. So I was like, no, better yet, I got my social media account. At the time, the way my social media account was set up was it was just nothing but interviews. It literally was my walking resume. So I pulled it out and he looked at it and he was like, oh my God, like, yo, you're really dope. All right, email me. And I emailed him, and the next day I got a call from TMZ. So when you talk about social media, it's all about how you utilize it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be, you know, you got to really like, I believe in the quote of your mind must arrive at the destination before your life does. So regardless of where you go, everybody should already see you at the position that you're aiming for. No one likes to believe in the potential. You got to act like you are who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? It's just like in a relationship. Like, you know, you don't like to date for potential. You want somebody to show up and show they can be a leader, and therefore you right now. So that's how you got to deal with your jobs and how you shoot in this industry. So I just remember that, and I thank God, because I know it was him that really worked in my favor, you know, taking me places that hustling can't. But if my social media did not distribute that I was ready for this industry, I guarantee you I would have missed that shot. I guarantee you I would have missed my shot. But I walked my social media. When I talk, I always introduce myself. Hey, I'm already a TV personality host. Y'all just got to put me on TV, and I'm going to show y'all. So that's kind of it.
So it sounds like you really just you saw an opportunity, you took it. And I feel like a lot of people, what happens is they get really scared. They get concerned about being turned away. They get concerned about people saying no to them. And, you know, from Trell, your story, it seems like you did something similar. You were stepping for Obama, who was running, and you didn't know what that was going to lead to, but something propelled you to stay. Something made you tell your frat they were going to stay with you. You guys were going to meet him, and it turned into something huge. Can you just talk a bit about the importance of taking those opportunities and not letting fear stand in the way of future success?
Yeah. First of all, Shai, I feel like you need to give your social media handle right now. You forgot that.
Right,
So
drop
the
that.
publicist in me is like, we need to know your social media. Put it in the chat.
That's why I need you. You need to be my manager. Come on, come through.
I got you. I got you. Put it in the chat so we know. But yeah, risk taking is important. You know, it's very, very important. I mean, I think that I know that I wouldn't be in half the rooms that I'm in had I not been taking those risks. I think the biggest thing that the biggest obstacle for a lot of people is our own minds, right? Like, you know, and I love that Shai said you have to feel and act worthy before you get to a point. And I think that is so true just across the board. You know, when you're thinking about, because fear creeps in so much that it's like, you're not ready for that. You're not prepared. You know, there's somebody better than you, but it's just like, what's yours is yours, you know, and it's never waiting on you. You're never waiting on it. It's always waiting on you. It's waiting on you to rise to the occasion, to pull up and say, you know what, I deserve this. And for me, my life has just been a string of doing that. Just, you know what, even when I don't feel like I know everything, I'm just stepping up, you know. And I love that we were talking about social media, because one perfect example for me is I started this series called Share Black Stories. And it's on my social media. My social media is Trail World, just my first name and then World. I started Share Black Stories kind of just on a whim. Like, I was seeing, just much like social media feels right now, it was just a heavy place, right? I kept going and I kept feeling heavy when I went there. And so I was just like, you know what, I want to start a conversation, start a series where we as Black people can come and just feel good about being Black. And so I started it. Like, I was nervous, I was scared. I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to take this seriously. Fast forward, I just kept doing it. I started off, I would have like 10, 12 viewers on my lives, right? But I just kept doing it because I was like, I'm doing this for a bigger purpose, right? And now, not only my last live had over 13,000 viewers. It's sponsored by a brand, so I get paid to do something that I love to do, and I have like my choice of the guests that come on it. So I think it is just believing in yourself before anybody else does. You can't wait for somebody to give you an opportunity, for somebody to tell you that you're good enough, for somebody to validate you. You have to be the one to validate yourself. And once you do that, like, doors just swing open. And so that's what I would say about risk taking it and moving past the fear. It'll be there, but you just have to move past it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Trell. Like, again, I feel like every time you kind of walk through the thought process for some of the initiatives, because you have like a number of initiatives. I think you mentioned to them that, but they don't know about all the other initiatives that you've been behind. I feel like you just came off of the Wearable Art Gala that you were behind, that you supported. Miss Lawson, just phenomenal. I feel like I can talk about the work you do all day, but I really want to jump to Ashley. You just graduated from Spelman. This is such a huge year for you. You just came off of a movie, but I also know that you're super multifaceted. Like, you sing, you act, you write. Like, can you talk a bit about the importance of being flexible and having multiple skills in entertainment? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Flexibility is my life, to the point to where now I'll actually in the next week and a half be starting a position working for Tara Duncan, the president of Freeform, which I had no clue I was going to pivot to this arena right now, but I am. And it started out actually in the sense that what people were talking about, I've learned when to say yes and when to say no to things. I've started to like kind of grasp my intuition in those ways. And to the point to where my professor while I was in my senior year, just casually sent me an email like, hey, you should apply to this apprenticeship program. And I was looking like, I'm acting, I'm living my life. This is before the pandemic. I was like, I don't need to do this, but let me just submit it. Like something was just like, just submit it. And I was like, okay. And then I got selected and I was like, well, I'm still going to be acting, so I'm not going to worry about this right now. And the world shut down. And then the sets shut down. And I was like, well, now what am I going to do? I can screenwrite, but right now I'm not going to be self-taping. Like there's only so many projects I can shoot in quarantine. And this was before we were in a space now where people can shoot a little bit more. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I think I'm going to take this job. And I told a few people and everyone was like, don't do that. That's off your path. What are you doing? Like, we see you, we see where you're going. Your second film just came out. Like you're moving. Why would you ever do that? And now here we are in September. Things still are barely shooting unless you've already been on a project. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to start looking at this in a different light. I took it almost initially when people were telling me like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, almost as a failure, which is funny to think like I'm going to be working for Walt Disney Television. And I was like, this is a failure. This is not a part of my plan. But I prayed about it. I thought about it. And I knew that it was the right decision, to the point to where I actually started with a different boss who was amazing. We didn't start working together yet, but they paired me with her. And I had written out when I took the job, I said, now, if I take this job, I want to work for this woman. I want to work at this company. I wrote out my list. And they literally switched me to the boss that I had written out 2 months prior, which confirmed to me that this was where I was supposed to be. But it's definitely kind of an answer in terms of me understanding, like, had I said no up front, I would be jobless right now. I'd be screenwriting, but I'd be jobless. I wouldn't be able to network in this industry in the way that I'm going to be in this capacity. I've known for years that I want to break into being able to produce and direct and do all these things with my brand long term. And so it just made sense for me. So that was just an exercise in me not saying no. But I did want to share one other quick story about kind of not saying no in a certain way. When I shot Beats, I actually never auditioned for the lead to play Naya. I was asked by the casting director to come in and be a reader. Now, this was not self-serving at all. I could have just said no and went on about my day and mind my business, and she would have found somebody else. But I said yes. And I went to the reading, and I was just helping people with their chemistry reads. I did this for like 2 days, and at some point, the producers were like, oh, she could play her. And it was actually a funny experience because in retrospect, it's like they had been kind of looking at casting a little bit in Chicago, but my role never actually went to anybody in Los Angeles, which is an entire arena of acting. As most people know, that audition process can be a nightmare sometimes. So to think that I was able to secure the job just by saying yes to helping somebody else out, really set the trajectory on my path, and understanding too that networking is not about always saying, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can I come on do this? No, it's about saying yes to the people that are asking for your support, because 9 times out of 10, they'll come back and support you. That casting director backed me when they brought me up as a person because I said yes when she was in a bind and needed help. And she has supported me throughout my entire career. I've gotten more than one job based on the relationships that I've built from just being there when I needed to be there and knowing when to say no and when to say yes. So I hope that answered the question.
That does. And Shy raised her hand. And once Shy speaks, I want to jump to Courtney. Shy, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just clapping for the girl because she said some real powerful things. Like that networking aspect, a lot of times people think about what they can get out of a situation. All you got to do is treat people right and God will bless you tenfold. For real, for real. That's it. She was preaching.
Yes, you better go off. So, Courtney, you mentioned the fact that you'd established your own brand before going to Paper, and that's actually how Paper called you in to take on that role. Can you just talk a little bit about the value of creating your own, like kind of owning your own brands, developing things from scratch, and using those as a platform to get to these other companies that typically most people come out of school trying to go after?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's so important to move out of your own way. Wake up every day and think to yourself, like, if you had 24 hours without fear ever existing, if you had the day to be fearless, like, what would you try to attain? What would you try to accomplish? And that's just how I operate. And so for me, as far as like social media and sort of building my voice on that, I just started developing content. So content centered around different brands, different Black and brown personalities, different pop culture references. Like, I love pop culture. Like, I sleep, eat, breathe it. And so hence why I'm the creative director at Paper. Like, you kind of have to love pop culture to work there, right? So for me, like, I'm all about Black and brown voices. Like, that's why I think I exist on this earth, is to share those stories, is to tell those stories. So getting out of your own way is so important. Like, even at Paper, the media world is fairly white, believe it or not. And so, like, even at Paper, there's been times where I've had to get out of my own way and just go for it. So, like, for instance, like this year, I actually was nominated by Ad Color for Ad of the Year for a campaign that we did with Nike, All for One. Like, had I not produced that and brought that to the table, like, wouldn't be an Ad Color nominee, you know what I'm saying? Or even the Booked and Busy series that I launched, that I spearheaded out on paperbags.com, which is definitely a platform for Black and brown brands and entrepreneurs. Like, the fact that I brought that to the table, like, had I not and just gone about my day and just done the tasks that are in my job description, more or less, that would have never happened. So being bold, being fearless, and just going for it. The least you're going to hear is no. And every no you hear, there's going to be a yes down the line. And every rejection that you hear, use that as fuel to keep going. Don't take it as defining your value. Take that as fuel to keep going.
So something you mentioned that's super important. I would love to get everybody on this panel's perspective. How do you cope with rejection? Because that's something that a lot of us have trouble, handling. What's your advice for that?
Is it okay if I go ahead?
Sure. Yes, of course.
Okay. So I actually had the opportunity this year over the summer during quarantine to speak with Felicia Rashad, the legend herself, via Zoom, and she was talking to me and a group of people in the industry. And I asked her about, her spiritual journey and what led her to the space that she is in now. I mean, she has been in this industry for years. She has seen the industry when the industry wouldn't recognize her for who she was. And so one of the things she said to me, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but she said, the universe bears no ill will to me. I bear no ill will to it. And it changed my life. It changed my perception of no. Because when you think about no's oftentimes in rejection, it's something that's happening to you. But I recognize it now as something that's happening for me. The no is not meant to beat me down. The no is so that I'm supposed to be learning something along this journey. This no is to fuel me in another direction. This no is to make sure that I'm not veering off my path in a way that's not going to take me to where I need to be. And so that's completely changed my worldview and the way that I internalize negativity. Because if things aren't happening to me and they're happening for me, then everything is for my greater good, even the bad moments that I understand to be bad. And in this business, when you're acting and you're getting told no, subconsciously sometimes, it's not like the casting hits you up and tells you didn't get the part. You're just understanding that, okay, they've moved on. So when you start taking in those no's a lot, I just literally tell myself, like, hey, this is for me. Had I booked that project on this day, then I wouldn't be able to work at Disney now. If this didn't happen, it's all in alignment with who I am and understanding that this universe is not meant to bring me negativity. That's not what this is about. This is me on my journey, learning new lessons, understanding new things. Had I done things freshman year in college that I told myself I wanted to do, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And those things were for my greater good, the yeses and the nos. So those are my 2 cents.
I'm going to go ahead and jump in.
Yes. Please.
I'm just going to keep it real. To be completely honest, I lost a lot in life. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times people look at where you're at in life, and I don't think they really, I feel like they feel like you're not human and you just can't relate because they're seeing your highlight sizzle reel and the glitz and the glam. But when I say I lost a lot, I lost a lot. I used to run track and field. So, not always getting first place in front of a school, that's a no for me. I remember HBCU. I ran for Miss Delaware State University. It was only 3 of us. Honestly, it was only 3 of us running, and I lost. And one thing about me, I hate losing. Like, I'm so competitive, I hate losing. And I remember the day that I lost, because I was crying. Like, I was in tears. I'm like, like, I don't understand. I'm for all HBCUs. And, just to walk and have to face people knowing that everybody knows your name and they know that you're lost, it's that you lost, it's really, really tough. I've been homeless before. I come from boiling water and sleeping, opening the ovens because there's no heat. Like real life stuff. And you would think that everything is sweet, but when you come from nothing, you know that the only way up from here is everything. Yeah, you don't got nothing else. So for me, it's no such thing as no or a loss, because I come from the bottom. I come from losses. Like, every day, I just have a faith in God that at the end of the day, if he brought me through that, he is going to be able to bring me to through anything that I want to face. Anything. So it's kind of like, you're going to have to face another no. You're going to have to face a no. You're asking someone else for their validation, especially in media, especially when you're in front of the camera, when you're a performer. You're asking someone else to say that you are valuable. So you got to know who you are. That's kind of how you deal with your no's, knowing who you are and where you want to go. So that way, when people tell you no, it's kind of like, it's always your loss. It's not mine. And I know some people probably like, well, that's kind of, arrogant, cocky. It's really not. It's just a confidence that I understand that what God has for me is for me. So if you telling me no, God must be protecting me because he got something else better for me. And that's just kind of how I face the no's. But you're going to face the no's. Like, anybody who's on this, and you want to deal with Hollywood, especially being Black, all the no's are coming. I remember when I competed at NBC, which I actually ended up winning, by the way. I remember being the only person that was competing at the time as a host. I wasn't on television. It was at the time. And, I'm a very, realistic person. Like, I don't put on for the camera. My friends would tell you, the same way I'm talking to y'all, I talk to them. I'm the same off and on camera. And I remember we had to do we had to introduce ourselves. And I was the only one who said, "What's up?" I'm the only one who said it. If I want to say hello, I can say hello. But at the time, they're like, okay, show us yourself. So I said, "What's up?" because that's a part of my language. And I remember the hosting coach at the time was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "That's very trendy. We don't say what's up no more." So I remember telling her, like, "No, I mean, to your people, it may be trendy, but what's up is a part of our language. We didn't just say it to make it a trend. This is who we are." And I remember her saying, like, "Well, you can't go to all the audience saying what's up." Well, you know what's so funny? That whatever audience or whatever network didn't want me, there's a network that appreciates my what's up. So what is for me is for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to believe that, because sometimes they're going to challenge you. They're going to tell you no. They're going to say you're not the right fit. That's okay. That is okay, because I'm telling you, as long as you just keep going and you don't quit and you know who you are, God will put you in the place you need to be. So you have to keep that in mind.
I think that's so true. And if I could add anything to it, is that there are two things that I want to say. One is that oftentimes, like, something happens in your life, and there's a no that comes, and so often you look too long at the closed door that you don't recognize all the doors that are open in front of you. And that was me. Right? I am a visionary, and I'm like, oh, this is how it's supposed to work out. This is what's going to happen. So when I would get a no, I would be like, well, what's going on? And I'd be staring for so long at that I missed what was in front of me, or it took me longer to get what's in front of me. And I'll get even more personal. I used to work at Viacom. And I thought, like, okay, here's what I'm going to do at Viacom. I'm going to become this. I'm going to do that. And my season there was up. And it was time for me to do something else. And I remember, like, I felt like I was being pushed out, and I was fighting it. I was fighting out. I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I want to do this. And there was a time that I just was like, you know what? What's for me, to Shai's point, is for me. And the moment that I let go, I'm reminded of, you've probably seen that meme when, like, the little girl doesn't want to let go of the small teddy bear, but, like, the big teddy bear is back. The moment I let go, the next week, I had my first meeting with Miss Tina Knowles Lawson and her husband, Mr. Richard Lawson. I mean, the moment I let go of it, because what was next for me was way bigger than what I was leaving. So that's the first thing I would say. Like, don't stare too long at the closed door, because there are doors and windows opening in front of you. And the second thing is, so often we make other people, places, jobs our source. And they are not our source. The casting director is not your source. The person doing the interview with you is not your source. Like, all of those things are not your source. You have to know that your source is bigger than them. And all of those people, places are just pieces of the puzzle. They're all just vessels. Even I am a vessel, right? I am a vessel for somebody else to get someplace that they want. So we have to realize that our source is bigger than what we sometimes put our faith in. And so those are two things I would just leave. Like, don't stare too long at the closed door, and recognize that your source is bigger than these vessels, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I felt like I just got the Holy Spirit just then. Oh, Jesus. All right. Sorry. Courtney, can you please talk to us a bit about how you handle rejection, kind of what that process looks like for you? Whew,
Yeah,
oh
most
my, sorry.
definitely. That was all a word. I think it's important because we're all human, right? So we're going to face rejection. So I think it's important to feel those emotions. So if you are rejected, if you get a no, like, you may shed a tear, but don't shed a tear for too long, right? So go ahead and be like, okay, like, how can I utilize this to my benefit, right? Like, maybe that's not a part of the plan. Maybe that's not a part of my destiny. I operate in a way of, a company needs you a lot more than you need them. And so it's so important to milk it while you can. Like, you're not going to be at a certain place forever. So milk it, like, do your best work, put your best foot forward. And, I'm in an industry where, I work with different brands, I work with clients, I work with different Hollywood personalities, and there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of no, there's a lot of pushback. I've been told things are too Black many times, right? Like, as a Black woman, like, I'm like, wait, too Black, what do you mean? Like, what is it saying about me, right? And I know that there are people out there who are going to respect the stories that I'm putting out, who are going to respect, you know what I'm saying, the visionary projects that I'm putting out. So I don't really dwell too much into negativity, into rejection, especially for people who aren't a part of our culture, because a lot of them don't get it, right? So I don't really pay that too much mind. But if you do get a no, like Trell was saying, like, there is a yes behind that no somewhere. You know what I'm saying? For every, there may be 9 no's you get, that 10th no or response is going to be a yes. Like, you have to keep pushing, you have to keep hustling, you have to, like, every day is rise and grind. And we have a lot of students who are on this watching this panel, and a lot of you aren't, like, in the real world just yet. But, like, right now, while we're all in quarantine, while we're still in lockdown, like, really tap into your creative passions. Like, if you want to be the next Shy Taylor, then start, you know what I'm saying? Like, recording reels, like, reaching out to people to interview, like, putting stuff together, like, because only you are responsible for your happiness, and you are responsible for your destiny at the end of the day.
Y'all just took me to church. This is too much. I have a lot of feelings, y'all. Okay. Whew. All right. So I just have to censor myself again. All right. So again, you mentioned that a lot of the people that are watching this content right now, they're students. So can you guys offer just some tips or some advice for how they can go about navigating from college into the entertainment industry? You already established that it's not easy, but, like, what are some skills or some things they can do to kind of help their chances if they really want to do this?
First and foremost, for me, the most important thing while you're in school is networking and finding your mentors. I didn't realize how important that was, freshman year. They're like, oh, like, you need to have, like, a mentor, someone you can go to. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, I'm good to go. I got my career on lock. I got my game plan. I'm ready. I'm here to just do this little college thing while I go pursue my dreams and all this stuff. And somewhere along the way, I recognized that it was in the relationships that I was able to develop who I needed to be. And it was in hanging out with my professors after class and just picking their brains when I was learning about Black Hollywood and learning about these things in their classrooms. And those are the people that helped propel me to where I needed to go next. Without hanging out with my professor and getting to know her and understanding who she was and her dreams and what her game plan was in life and where that led her, I wouldn't have been able to have those conversations and have her send me out for the Disney apprenticeship. She wouldn't have done it because she didn't know me. So one, I would say, even if you cannot speak up in class for whatever reason it may be, going to find your cohort and your team and your community and your mentor on campus is essential in navigating this business. I've met quite a few grads who didn't do that. And now they're still trying to figure out their path and still trying to figure out how to connect with the alumni. But it's about making those connections while you're in school. I have friends who I'm working with now who were in school, and I've plugged them and they've plugged me in ways that it was just because I reached out and made sure that I had a community there. I think oftentimes we think about this industry as being like an individualistic thing. It's just you, it's just me, I'm doing what I have to do. But it's really about a collective. It's about knowing that I tell my friends all the time, I'm like, when I go get my award up on stage, I want to see all of y'all in the front row because we're all nominated. Like it's not just me out here winning. It's all of us winning. And I think when you walk in the rooms with that mentality, it's less about what you can do just for yourself and more about what you can do for the collective. And that's automatically going to bring you what you need and where you need to go.
Thank you for that. Shai, how about you?
I would say don't wait for Hollywood. It starts now. Honestly, like she was saying, network, but I think a lot of times people think they forget that the small stuff is the big stuff. I think one of the main reasons as to not only just treating people correctly, but one of the main reasons how I was able to pivot and things just started booming is because I didn't wait for the internships or I didn't wait for the yeses. I just started hitting the streets. So I know a lot of times people, you want to get in this entertainment industry, you want to get in Hollywood. How can you use it? How can you start Hollywood right now? So if you want to be a host, you got the whole campus. Go match, go figure out, collab, partner with the videographers that are on campus, get involved and start doing your own thing. So that way, when you do graduate, you are prepared. You got the experience. People knows what it looks like. It's all about building content. This is 2020. You know what I'm saying? So you got us to kind of like trying to put in the work now. I think it just honestly starts now. And had I really knew my purpose in college, I really feel like I'll be a dangerous person right now. Not saying I'm not a dangerous person now, but had I really knew what I wanted to do in college, I think the game would have been different. I really would have came in swinging and elevating because a lot of people are too lazy to put in the work. Or they're always waiting for the yes man to have them put in the work. We have the resources. You got the advancement of technology, there's YouTube, there's Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Start it now. Use your peers. Network this way. You don't always got to network up. Network across. Had I known that videographers were so much money, y'all got free videographers on your campus right now. That you're probably your friends. Use them, and just help one another. But y'all got to start the work now. Do not wait for the job. Make the job come find you.
I love that.
Totally agree 100%. Just to add to that, like your vibe is your tribe, right? So like connect with your like-minded peers. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a fraternity, if you're in a sorority, what's up, AKAs? Like get together and like come up with whatever it is, whatever project y'all want to do. Like put it out there. You have all the tools out there at your disposal. Like make it happen. And like Shai was saying, you want to network laterally. You don't need to network upward because, to be honest with you, it's so hard to tap into the C-suite of these different organizations, of these different companies. Like work together, network with each other. Two minds are better than one, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, like your dreams and goals, like you think that you're like the only one who feels a certain way or who has a certain passion. And you'd be surprised if you look to your left and you look to your right, like those people next to you have those same goals, have those same visions as well. So, and also something that I did not do when I was in college, I did not seek a mentor per se, like who was in the entertainment industry. Like, yes, I did internships and things like that, but it wasn't until I got into the real world that I understood the value of a mentor and what they could do for you. So if you are currently in school right now, like either reach out to a mentor who is currently on campus, whether there's a like entertainment or mass communication department on your campus, like reach out to the professor there, or reach out to the companies that you admire, like come up with a short list. And it's very easy to find people's contact information. LinkedIn, Google are your best friends. And like find a mentor now. Don't wait, because that person could be a valuable resource for you down the line.
Yeah, and I'll just round it out by saying that, like, again, two things. Like, one, discover yourself. Use college to really discover yourself. And I know that you've heard this before, but I'm seriously, get into what you like, what you don't like, question things, question everything, and really get into what it is that makes you move, what it is that makes you come alive, and try a bunch of things. Which leads me to my next point of, like, everything you do, nothing you do is wasted. Everything you do adds something else to your toolbox that you carry with you everywhere you go. There are jobs, like my job at McDonald's, where I use pieces of things I learned at McDonald's in my life currently today. There are jobs that I thought, or things that I did that I thought that I absolutely hated, that now I go in that toolbox and I'm like, oh, that's why I was there. So every part of our journey is working together. So I would say, I spent too much time in college kind of hating something that I was doing or complaining about a situation that I was in, instead of just embracing it and then realizing that it was all a part of my journey. It was all a part of my path, because your story is your story. And believe it or not, you are creating that story every single day, especially in these years. So I would just say, really embrace and lean into that, and know that, like, every part of your journey is meant to be a part of your journey. Even the rejections, even the hard times, even the things that you despise right now.
I did want to add really quickly.
Thank you.
Kadeem, if I could add just based on what Trell said, for those
course.
that are interested in acting, I would say it's essential to really take the time and live the moment. I think as much as I was dedicated to my career, and I'm grateful for doing that because it propelled me beyond to places I didn't anticipate being, I would say that I wish I had just taken a little bit more time to go to that one party, to have that one moment with my friends on campus at 2 a.m. eating pizza because we were studying for a final. Those pieces of your journey are going to be what you need when you're in the business. One on a personal level, but two, when you're acting and you're having to find experiences within yourself and live these moments. If you live your life in college to the absolute fullest, I promise you, your toolbox and your worldview and your palette that you're painting from as an actor in this business will take you so much further. I can relate to so many more things because I did have the moments that I enjoyed. And as a screenwriter, I'm able to write about things that I experienced because I was present in the moment. So as much as you need to be on your grind, I would say equally be conscious that college is 4 years that you will never get back. I look back now and I'm like, and for me, I ended college in the middle of a pandemic. I didn't even get my full senior year. So when you think about what you could possibly be missing in the future, it is imperative that you find it within yourself to take those times to practice your self-care, to go hang out with your girlfriends and your guy friends and live it up, because it goes by so fast and you have the rest of your life to be an adult with bills and responsibilities and rejections and things that you have to experience. So of course, be on your grind, make sure your grades are up, do what you got to do, but equally know that it is okay to have fun and have moments that are going to last for your lifetime and your memories. I think that that's really essential.
That was such an important message, Ashley. Thank you so much. And now I want to open it up, now that we're at the end of this time, I want to open it up to the audience. Now I already see that we got one question, so please, guys, throw your questions for the panelists into the chat, but I'll go ahead and read this first one. So for someone who wants to work more behind the scenes with marketing and branding in the entertainment industry, how do you recommend building content or getting jobs to find you? And any of you guys can take this question.
Yeah, I'll start. Definitely coming up with spec work. So spec work is basically work that you would put together for a potential brand or celebrity or campaign, and maybe coming up with your own website so that you can display that work. And so that you're not just providing just your standard resume. Like whenever you're applying to a job or applying to a gig, like number one is you want to stand out because everybody else wants that same job, right? So how are you going to stand out from the rest? And I think building a portfolio, having something that you can go to the interview, not only with your resume, but with your portfolio to showcase the work that you've done, really kind of shows that you are not only skilled, but you're also passionate. Like we're in 2020 now and people are looking for passion a lot of times with skill. So showcasing yourself through developing content is definitely something you want to start doing now if you want to work in branding and marketing within the entertainment industry.
Amazing. Does anyone else want to cover that question, or you guys want to jump? Because we got some more.
I would just add to that as well. You know, it's something that we talked about, and it's something that we can't escape these days. Social media. Make sure that you I mean, you can't say that you are a magnificent brander, a marketer, and then we go to anything public that's yours, and then it's like, what is this? You know what I mean? So make sure that, you know, the things that are public facing that you have are a reflection of your skill. You know, practice on yourself.
And also, just to add, and this goes for
mm-hmm.
anything, to have your social media accounts be public, especially if you want to be in entertainment, if you want to be a personality, or if you want to be behind the scenes, like, people are going to want to access you and see your work. So private Instagram accounts, private Twitters are a little suspect nowadays.
Facts. So Maya Daisy asks, given all that you know about your industry now, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self? Amy, you can take this.
I'll go ahead. You are powerful. You're not inferior. And I know it sounds cliche, but you can do anything you put your mind to. Literally. I literally remember just stepping out like I was crazy and said, you know what? I'm going to be on TV. I don't come from an entertainment industry background. I come from a conservative background. All my people in church, they just believe, honestly, that all this stuff is worldly, for real. You know, so from where I come from, just coming out of nowhere saying you're going to be on TV sounds crazy. So, but when I walked in these rooms, I knew who my Father was in heaven, and I knew that I had some type of power within me. I really do honestly believe, I know I talk a lot about on the spiritual thing, but I really honestly believe, if you honestly believe that you can do it, you can do it. You just really have to believe that. You got to carry that confidence no matter what room you are in. This is probably one of the most important things I said today. It is your confidence that's going to dictate where you go. When you have confidence, you operate differently. You work harder. Because you know, like, if I do the work, it's going to happen for me. Count yourself in. Stop counting yourself out. A lot of times we go into things and we have doubt before we even done it. Count yourself in. This is going to work. And if it doesn't work, you get back up tomorrow and you try it again. The difference between the people that make it and the people that don't make it is the quitting factor. Is they quit. They didn't believe in themselves. You can do it, and you are powerful. We come from DNA that is so strong. From where we come from slavery till now, I don't think any other culture could have been able to even endure what we have done. We are powerful. So you got to believe in your power, and you tap into that, you'll be able to change the world.
Yeah, say that. I would say, you know, and it's something that Courtney kind of touched on earlier, is that you are the gift. You know, and it ties into what Shai is saying too. Like, there were so many rooms and so many things that I walked into, and I felt like I wasn't worthy to say the thing that was on my heart, on my mind, to say. And I would go tell my younger self, say that thing, do that thing, and don't be afraid to walk out of any room where you're not respected, or you don't, or you're not appreciated. You know, there you have to, just as much as you are okay, or you have to be okay with stepping forward, you have to also be okay with stepping away from things that don't serve you or don't appreciate you, you know. And there were times where I stepped in too, but there were also times that I stepped away and the gift was bigger, because it was just me recognizing that, like, all right, you know what? Like, I'm not appreciated in this space. Let me go where I'm appreciated. And so I think there's real value in that as well. There were places that I stayed way too long. So I would just encourage you and my younger self to be okay with walk away. And then another thing that's kind of taboo, especially in the Black community, is asking for help, whether that be therapy. You know, I mean, Shai, that resonated with me because I'm from South Carolina, in the middle of the Bible Belt. We were in church 7 days a week. So everything was just like, pray about it. But we have to be okay with asking for help and saying that we're not okay if we're not okay, which is something that even at this juncture in my life that I'm still learning to be okay with. I started therapy for the first time. I'm 35 years old, and I just started therapy this year because I thought like, oh, like nothing's wrong with me. I don't need therapy. But those are just ways of thinking that are, one, outdated, and two, not helpful to us. So if you need help, ask for it. Even if you need help from me, ask for it. I'm willing to help.
I love that. So we are now at the end of our panel, but I know you guys still have a ton of questions. Panelists, can you guys just drop your contact info in the group chat so they know how to reach you? Awesome. And thank you guys so much for being a part of this panel.